every now and again you meet a very powerful and magnetic soul, and you feel in a sense that everything they're saying and expressing is specifically designed to summon you towards them. And the magical queen that I'm sitting next to today is one such individual, one such soul who I feel really stood as a beacon and called me towards her in her own unique way. And I truly believe you are each here to do that for the people who came here to resonate with you and be drawn to your frequency, your message, your energy. So I'm so grateful to be sitting down with a dear magical friend, Virginie. Welcome to the Soul Salon podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, beautiful woman. Thank you.
I'm so grateful. And I'd love to start. We are very soulful women, I would say, and this podcast is called the Soul Salon. So I'd love to start by asking you, what does the soul mean to you?
Soul to me is the highest part of ourselves, that the one that I would say directly come from God. Whatever you believe in, it can come from the universe or whatever life, whatever you believe in. But that part that creates everything that is alive has created your soul in order to have a purpose, in order to live a life that is led from that viewpoint, that soul. So that highest part, pure part of yourself. Yes. That's what soul means to me.
Whew, wow. The way you expressed that was so beautiful. This part of this higher power, this God in each of us, and that we feel and tap into. How did you find your way to that connection? You really embody a deep connection to that holiness within and therefore without. And so how did you find your way there?
I will say that as human beings, we learn through pain. Oof. If it's comfortable, we're not moving too much, right? But when something is painful, that's where we are feeling, okay, I need to move towards something else, right? Something that that feels better. So basically, through my life, I experienced different stories, challenges, traumas like everyone else. And I realized that they were a part of me because I felt that there was something bigger for me, something better for me. And is this dichotomy between knowing when you feel good and also feeling bad, that there was something that is different. And I was looking for that similarity, feeling good always. So that's where I started to read and to go to meetings with Indian sisters. And when I was living in London, and I started to meditate, it was not even a thing at the time. It was a long time ago. And yoga and all of this. And that's where the teaching comes, because when you learn one of these things, which is, for example, yoga, or you have to learn the philosophy behind also. Otherwise, it's like just work out. But it's actually a spiritual practice. And that's where I've been introduced to that part of me that I was looking for a long time.
Wow. I mean, where you started with, as human beings, we learn through pain. Can you take us there? And then what you just mentioned about this beautiful journey that you've been on towards yourself, towards truth, spirit, God. And it sounds like you approach these practices with a lot of reverence. And I think reverence is the word for, the culture, the philosophy, the deep wisdom and ancient history. So that's really beautiful and important as we explore these different spiritual traditions and practices. But I would love to tap deeper into this idea of pain, revealing the light, and what you notice in the people you work with on what are the invitations that pain is bringing us that we sometimes ignore or avoid?
Pain, like joy, like any emotions, I will say, are an indication of something in your life. So it's about, we have the tendency, as you meant, to run away from pain because it's painful. We don't like that. So, but sometimes, pain is here for a reason because it has a message. Like any emotion, either good or bad, your emotions are your indication that there is something that is either aligned or is not. So that's why it's very important to know, I would say, dissociate from the pain. Like, for example, you can smoke weed, you can drink alcohol, you can party, you can be on your phone all the time, you can have a lot of sex, whatever it is in excess. It's always important to sit with yourself and reflect on, why am I doing what I'm doing? Is it from a place of joy and happiness, or is it from a place of maybe hidden pain that I'm trying to dissociate and run away from? Because that's where the problem lands, right? And that's what, when you are a therapist, of course, that's when someone comes to you and say, yes, I have this problem and I would like to resolve it, right? But what I always, and that's why it can be very difficult with my client, my patient, is that I make them sit with this pain. You cannot run away, because the pain or the emotion or the message will come after you over and over again in many different type of settings in order for you to get the lesson behind it. Yeah. You have, sometimes, I'm sure you do, like friends that say, oh, I'm always ending up in the same relationship. I'm attracting the same type of men and available emotionally, etc., etc. Because there is a lesson, there is a message for you. It's not about the next person coming in front of you and being like, hey, I'm different. No, it's because you are going to be attracted to something that is different. But you need to do the work first. And for that, you need to sit with it. That's what is super uncomfortable. And not everyone is ready for it. But that's the solution.
It's so true. And it's such a powerful, like, in the moment, you sometimes even know, I'm being invited to sit with something. And also now we're in this culture, everything you mentioned, where it's all sort of designed in a way to numb, to avoid, to escape, gaming, scrolling, liking, and, following, all of these different tools and ways of escaping the feeling and consuming and consuming and consuming. But even besides that, it's so uncomfortable. And I think sometimes we also underestimate our courage to face the emotion. So it is uncomfortable to do. And also in the face of that discomfort, instead of saying, I can rise to this, I am resilience, I am courage, I am powerful. We also, I don't think it's like, absolutely, we avoid the discomfort and we also reduce ourselves in the face of pain. Like, I cannot face this, when we really can. And I'm so curious, with the clients you worked with and with yourself, when you say we have to face our emotions, what does that mean tangibly for people?
It means that by knowing what you are running away from, you will understand more what you are running from, and if it's that really necessary to run away from that in order to go to where you want to be. Right? It's like, for example, if I say to you, I have a wound. Yes, I just cut myself, and you're the doctor. I'm coming to you, and I say to you, yes, I'm in pain, but I don't want to look there. And you'll be like, yeah, but in order to heal and to be able to move your fingers and hands again, we need to look at what's causing this pain, right? And so, for the body, and like in this example, you will be like, yes, of course. But that's the same for the mind. That's the same. When we say the mind is broken, it's broken because the mind is trying, our mind is trying to save us from difficult situations. That's why we can self-sabotage, or because our mind doesn't make the difference between what's good for us or what's not. It just wants to make us feel safe. That's why we can even do things sometimes that are not supposed to be so good for us, but we do it anyway because he avoids something, a discomfort. That's what I mean. So yeah, I guess that it's sitting with what's uncomfortable is always the solution to go the other side of where you want to be. Honestly, there is, and I'm going to tell you why, because I think most of my life, funny enough, they were a part of me running towards a solution, but at the same time, they were a part of me running away from the problem. So yeah, until that you sit with the, okay, what am I doing, what I'm doing, then you keep running.
When you say that, that's so powerfully said, like running away from a problem. You think you're running towards a solution, but you're running away from a problem. That is just so beautiful. And it also summarizes like so many relationship conflicts, dynamics, conversations. Is there a moment for you in your life that really summarizes when you were trying to do that? Or not summarizes, but brings it to life?
Then I was running from a problem.
Yes.
I think, well, many times. Many times.
Yes.
But I will say the biggest challenge, it's childhood trauma, no? The little parts of us that is still within us, our inner child that has these perceptions about how the childhood has been, and which are totally valid, but it's also, it can bring a lot of pain. That's what we carry often as an adult. And for me, it was the family aspect. Yes, it was hard. It was hard in many different ways, which, well, I'm going to give you, let's be personal, but one of the trauma that I had to face was, as an 8 years old, my mom tried to kill herself. And at that time, I was 8 and I arrived at the time and I saved her.
Wow.
So I believe that I had this, I felt that responsibility towards her all my life.
Wow.
Subconsciously to keep her alive, right? Funny enough, for many, many, many years after that, I completely forgot. Yeah, that traumatic event, obviously.
Completely.
So navigating, like, you know, you feel unease, but you still don't know why. Until that I started to do a lot of healing and stuff like this, like shiatsu, reiki, hypnosis, the massage I learned in Bangkok to learn all the... I tried everything, and of course, the energy were coming up until that I had the memory coming back.
Wow.
And it was like, whoa. And then I had to do the work to face that. Now, I'm so grateful that it has been a journey. Let's be real. Every work that you do in front of your traumas, it is work. It's not everyone is able to do that. But that's where you transmute and you start to be happy after that. Once you let go of the heavy energy. But you need to face the energy.
Ooh. Oh my word. First of all, thank you so much for your courage and vulnerability and sharing that moment. I'm thinking of you as an 8-year-old and what you just so like poetically, beautifully described of then subconsciously feeling like you were responsible and saving your mom the entire time, or carrying that weight and then therefore not feeling mothered, and sort of that wound of having to mother before you were even fully mothered as an 8-year-old. And so I think it's just so, what's the word? Profound, heartbreaking, heart opening, all of the things. And then also what you just described about how your subconscious, to protect yourself, erase the memory for a time.
Exactly.
But that you also still sense like something is, it's just so powerful. And your courage to face that moment when you could have continued to try and run from it and repress it. I know this is going to help so many people just hearing that, we're all carrying different traumas, but for people to hear that specific experience. How have you released or shifted some of that feeling of responsibility or feeling of saving your mom and become the person who is saving you in a sense? I mean, the place that you're in now. I know you've mentioned all these beautiful different modalities that you've walked on. If you could maybe tap into, your travels around the world and on your amazing search for healing, for transformation.
I think first I'm going to be a bit woo-woo, I'm very spiritual.
Same. It's a soul salon. It's a soul. Let's go there.
But I know that it was written in my soul, I'm a healer. I know that, come from a family of healers. I know it's written in my soul. So I always been attracted to everything that is a bit like grandma recipes, like those witchy things. And I'm like, oh, baby, this herb and this smell, always. I loved it. So that led me to discover I have this hunger to learn all the time. And, to come back to the parental thing is that we all kids and we all have stories with our parents, and some people have a challenging story, let's say, either with the mom or with the father or both of them. And the thing is, after, when you were saying like the subconscious help you to forget, you forget, but you don't really forget, because triggers are the indication that there is something, a story that is activated within you, but you don't know why. Sometimes you can even see someone and be like, I don't like this person, but you don't know why. It's because you have a whole story inside of you that is related to that person, in a sense of maybe the person reminds you unconsciously of your grandmother that you didn't like. That's what I mean. So there is a whole script within you, but you don't remember all chapters. So that's why it's important to start to know yourself as much as possible, which is funny because we are so eager to learn about others. No, you meet someone, you want to know everything about that person, or your best friend, and you want to protect your best friend, you want to encourage your best friend or whatever. But to do that to yourself, it's like a all new book. It's so difficult for so many people. And we are looking for other people to do that to ourselves. Encourage me, validate me, see me, understand me, etc. So I guess that at some point, I decided I was always traveling to different places to learn about other people. I guess it's because in my family, I didn't really know who I was as a mixed race person. Because as a mixed race, you are not fully white, you are not fully black. So you're like, okay, who am I then? And the who am I pushed me to travel and to go to India and to stay with families that invited me with their families to celebrate with them. I went to Hawaii and I was invited by a family. I went to Santorini. I was invited by a Greek family around the table speaking about Socrates and philosophy. And always my travel brought me to very interesting places where I've learned something about myself. And that's why I'm helping others to discover who they are and to be comfortable with who they are, and unapologetically.
Where you started with the woo of it and the fact that you believe your soul chose this. And this image came to me of the amount of darkness we go through is connected and proportional to the amount of light we're here to reveal for ourselves, for others. And this image of you traveling the world, the image that came to me was, you mentioned sort of being mixed and not fitting in and finding belonging in either of these communities or identities. And I got this instant image of like cracks and then someone like slipping through the cracks, but into a whole other world, a whole underworld, a whole world driving this curiosity to find belonging and connection to the unseen, to spirit, to spirituality, and to all these incredible cultural experiences that you've had across the world, and the courage that it takes, especially, you were traveling alone as a woman at this time. and there's the openness to go into the unknown. You know, that's very scary for many of us. And then also, you've said so much that I hope to respond to, but know that I won't cover all the magic you've shared. But what you shared about the fact that we don't even remember what actually happened, and the trigger is an indication. It's so profound what we are all carrying. Just this morning, a client, as she should, like in a container that I run, just indicated that something one of the links was incorrect, just neutral. But my nervous system was so activated. I was like, I made a mistake. And it is in a critic mind, it was like, it's such a simple mistake. Like, you should, at least if you're going to make mistakes, make more sophisticated mistakes. Don't mess up the time zone and this whole narrative. And I was in the subway and I wanted to fix the mistake instantly. I was like logging on to this calendar event. I was like, okay, let me just fix this. And I just sat and I was like, I'm literally about to go sit down. It's going to be like 30 minutes later. Let's just sit here. Because sometimes we think being reactive is being unkind or mean, or sometimes it's solving something, running to the solution instead of, running away from the problem. Well, yes, you all know what I mean. So I'm like, okay, girl, let's just calm down. What's happening inside? And I just had this montage phase of like what it looked like to make mistakes and wanting to be perfect and not wanting to ever sort of like color outside the lines that I was given as a child, and really valuing like this like structure and all of these things. And I was like, you're okay. It's safe to make mistakes. It's safe to make mistakes in front of other people, because that was also the thing. And it's just, we're carrying so much. So that came to me as you were saying that. And I want to stay with where you were with these travels. But I did want to share that story of carrying these.
I love that. Yeah.
These little packets of energy. Then you tap into them and you're like, whoo.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. It's like, like often I say that to my client, is that inside of you have like kind of a castle, right? And sometimes you have like a hole and you have a door. You have no idea where is this door gonna lead to. But you have to discover all the door. And because sometimes you're gonna open the door and it's gonna be super messy and dark. And well, just tidy. And after you have a beautiful castle, inner castle. And that's basically the work of the inner work, I would say,
On that topic, I know that something you deeply care about is self-love. And so I'm so curious to tap into your wisdom on self-love, and why do you think it is just so essential, so the root of everything?
Ooh, well, how can you love anyone else if you don't love yourself first? That's as simple as that. So we have this whole concept of self-love, and often what I hear is that people don't know the difference between self-love and selfishness.
Oof, yes, narcissism. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, but if I don't know, if I'm love myself too much, I might be selfish. And it's like, no, it's not about too much. We can always remove the too much of everything, because the too much of everything is never too good. But I will say it's about balance. And self-love is exactly that. It's like, I am pouring into me so I can pour into you. It's not I'm pouring into you hoping that you will pour into me. It's not working. That's why you create conflicts. No, because in your couple, you want, for example, the person to be like, hey, on you, or like looking after you, and, always. But what if you can do that for yourself? If you do that for yourself, you will be at such a content place that you will attract a person that will vibrate at the same frequency. Is basically why I'm saying that, is because you will not try to attract someone from a place of lack, someone or a job or whatever you are looking for, but from a place of fulfillment. And that's a completely different place to be. So you want to be with, like, if we talk about relationship, you want to be with someone that is fulfilled, not someone is going to always telling you, where are you? What have you done? Where have you been? Call me. You know what I mean? Is because that person is not able to be balanced within themselves. Yeah. In the sense of if you have enough self-love for yourself, self-love, you will not have to chase anyone, I will say, or correct anything, because everything is perfect also, and you are perfect, and is recognizing that perfection into you so you can see it in others also. So how does it start? For me, self-love, it has been a journey, let's be honest, because we have this concept of self-love, but it's about understanding it, but it's about experiencing it also. We can understand, but it's not about understanding. And when you say understand, it comes from the mind. Feeling from the body. Self-love is a feeling. Massage, reading, meditation. It's a very soft, slow process that of food, nutrition, or whatever brings you a good feeling. It's like almost like taking some good feeling coins inside of your purse that is you. And then you can give to others from that place.
That's a stunning image. Yes, like you're in overflow. And it's such the social level, like they don't want us to love ourselves. Like especially, as women of color, like a lot of different people listening to this, there's so many ways that society, culture, systems have created a world where what we think is selfish is self-loving. Then there's also obviously pure selfishness and narcissism and all of those things. But I think I see in the collective that we are returning to self-love and reclaiming our time, reclaiming our energy, reclaiming our joy and our peace and all of these things. And it's really beautiful to witness. And of course, we all seek more guidance on that. And I think what you've just discussed is such a beautiful point that sometimes, we intellectualize, I understand self-love, but we don't embody it. And something that I think is also very important with self-love is sometimes it's doing the opposite of what a part of you really wants to do. Like sometimes the self-loving thing to do is to go to bed instead of scrolling on your phone, or it's to nourish yourself with food that's going to make you feel energized rather than depleted or, just energetically off. And so how do we balance? Sometimes we talk about more, the massages and the reading, which is so important. And also like, how does self-love manifest for you and your clients when it's a little bit more, it's leaving the relationship that you don't really want to leave, or it's a challenge, it's like the mother, that archetype of love it's not that this is easy. Love is, but there's an energy and a courage and also like a discomfort there.
The way that I do it is that I work with the subconscious mind. Because I can tell you can tell anyone that smokes cigarettes, for example, it can kill you, you should stop. We know that. It doesn't mean that the person is going to stop, yeah? Because there is something else behind holding that person with the cigarettes, because it prevents something, it helps with something. And that is when it's important to stop and sit with yourself and be like, why am I doing what I'm doing, right? But so when you work with the subconscious mind, which is 95% of who we are as humans, 5% is the mind, the consciousness, like, okay, yes, I should stop smoking. But 95% is this subconscious that we are not aware of until it become conscious. So this old castle of a lot of rooms inside of you that you have no idea how they look like. That's your subconscious. So basically, when there is something so hard, for example, I want to be seen, but I'm self-sabotaging and I can't be in front of the camera, or I am in a relationship that is toxic, but we still play the game, etc., etc. Is that now we need to tap into your subconscious to find out why you are doing what you're doing. And then release that energy that is blocked within yourself in order to change frequency, vibration. Then you attract, everything is vibration, right? This is vibration, this is vibration, this is vibration. So, and it vibrate at a certain frequency. So let's say I simplify, obviously, but in my body, with all my stories, my traumas, my challenges, my love, my this, my that, my vibration is 110 hertz, let's say. And this is at 300. And I want this. Until that I will vibrate. I will not vibrate at the same frequency. I will not reach that. It won't be in my reality. That's why I'm saying it's so important to release the heavy energy so you can be in front of another type of energy and the one that is more aligned with the reality that you want to manifest.
Yes. Oh, yes. The thing that came to my mind is the belief. So I used to have a belief that like there were no good men, or like men are not XYZ, and I date men. So then I think I heard something on a podcast where someone was like, well, how are you going to have a beautiful relationship with a man and believe there aren't beautiful men? How's that going to work? And I released that belief, and now I feel this absolute shift in my energetic field. It's not that I'm now in a relationship, but I can feel that from this place, I'm vibrating at that 300 where I'm like, there are beautiful men. They are wonderful. And so I think that is an example that came to me of like the thing you want, a beautiful relationship, a beautiful partner, is not at the same level as there are no beautiful relationships. There are no beautiful partners.
Exactly.
And so you could be in an elevator. That could be the beautiful person that you are destined to be with. But you have this belief, there are no beautiful people to date. Everyone is this, everyone is that. Every city has a story. No one in Barcelona, no one in, Lagos, no one in London, no one in Joburg. It's a story. And I also hold a lot of love for the fact that dating in the world with modern technology, and it is, yes, we hold the both and the paradox, because we also don't want to invalidate the very real stories that are being lived. But I love what you're saying about working with clients on the subconscious. Is there a way someone can guide themselves through one of your practices?
Yeah, well, yeah. Once again, you can do auto-hypnosis, yes, but it's always easier to do it with someone else, obviously, because obviously you need to have like I don't even know the word that I will use, but it's not even strong will to be able to face your fear, but you are going into, it's like, for example, when you dream, yes, you can have very vivid dream and like almost nightmare and wake up and be like shaken. That's what you do when you do the healing. Yeah, you're going to face the dragons, your own demons, dragons, whatever you want to call it. So obviously it's you can do it yourself. It's called auto-hypnosis, but honestly, it's better to do it with someone. So the person can guide you and So that's the trick. I have, I think, on my website some, audio like hypnosis to help with this type of thing. Yes.
Beautiful. And we will link to that in the show notes. Do you want to say the name of the website or?
Yeah, Virginie is my name. Virginie Audrey. Audrey, actually, Audrey is not my surname. It's my third first name.
Oh.
Yes.
Love it.
Virginie is my African grandmother. And Audrey was my mom wanted to call me like this. So I have these two names.
Lovely.
So Virginie Audrey. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yay.
And so I feel like with this self-love journey that we're talking about, it's so related to what you said. I'm still the image of you as an 8-year-old and loving these parts of ourselves and being with them and being present to them. And I love parts work and understanding these different little parts of ourselves and how they come up. What would you say to the listener about how they can be with these different parts of themselves that come up? We all have these moments where we're like, well, part of me wants to do this, part of me wants to do that, where we feel something and we can feel it's coming from perhaps a younger version of ourselves or something that was conditioned within us. Like there's all these different parts. And so I'm curious how you would guide or any advice you have for people on these different parts within them and creating harmony within.
Well, like I was saying, and that is Carl Jung that say that. Carl Jung said, until that you, I think it's Carl Jung, or is it Einstein? I think it's Carl Jung, but it's basically until that you make the unconscious conscious, you will repeat the same type of life. Yeah.
Carl Jung.
Basically. So it's about being conscious. And how do you become conscious? By always being connected to yourself. So no dissociation, what we were talking about earlier. Because that's with your emotions and your feelings that you will get to know yourself. And then you will have the indication of what part of myself is talking to me right now or reacting. For example, with the link that you explain, is that my inner child that feels that she did something wrong, or is it, and then after, it's my inner critic. And so it's like almost like you are observing those parts of you and just bring them what they need. So it's like, no, I did something wrong. It's like, okay, exactly like you did, reassurance. It's okay, and actually people connect with you even better when it's not perfect, because it makes them also imperfect, because we're all imperfect, instead of you being on a pedestal and being like, oh my God, she's so perfect, So it's about reframing your story. And then your reality is going to change. But for that, you need to have a dialogue with your inner parts, But for that, you need to also be conscious of that. Like, I've been triggered. Okay, that's an indication. Why do I feel sad? I feel sad because this person told me this. Why do she told me this? Okay, well, maybe I'm upset with her, but why am I sad? I'm sad because he reminds me of when my father used to tell me that I didn't do my homework well. Okay, so that little me, she's still here, obviously, because she's sad. So it's like sitting with yourself and like talking to that part of you and being, no, don't be sad. I'm here for you. That adult part, that soulful part needs to talk with the little one that is still within you and will always be within you. She needs reassurance. She needs validation. She needs to be understood and seen. All the things that she lacked maybe as a child. I'm not saying that's the parents that did, but that's the perception at least that we had of what happened. That is important to give that to the part of yourself that needs it. If it's the inner critic, to be like, thank you so much for warning me, but we got this. Don't worry, So reframing.
That is so powerful. The reframing, the giving, the creating a space even to listen to what each of these parts need, which is where it starts. Sometimes, again, like you said earlier, we're just silencing, avoiding. And these parts also, I love that they also have wisdom for us. They want something for us. Sometimes it's like your inner critic wants excellence for you. And that's okay. We don't have to make that wrong. We can just say, okay, so what do you need to feel safe, loved, seen in a way that is not destructive to me? And this is also the inner family systems, IFS work of that they each can become a guide, a mentor. The book, No Bad Parts, for anyone who wants to dive deep on this topic, changed my life last year, or in the last year. But that your inner critic, your inner child, your different inner children, the voice within you, they have a whole value system and a whole set of fears and desires and hopes. And we can really create harmony with these parts of ourselves by creating space to listen to them. So thank you for that wisdom of, what do they need and how can we reassure them? How can we give them love? I think that's such a beautiful invitation for each of us.
And you will do that to a kid, right?
Hopefully.
If you have a little kid next to you screaming like crazy, you will stop and ask, how can you help?
Yes.
No? It's exactly the same.
What are you feeling? Yes, that must be so hard for you. I understand, you know. And I'm so curious because sometimes with self-love, what I would love to go to is how do we make it easier for each other to love ourselves? We often think about this is my work, it's a more individualistic framing. And I do agree there's an inner world here that only I can touch, and it is my sanctuary and it is my heaven as well. It can become my heaven on earth, my work in this life. But I'm also conscious of this, relational life we all live, friendships, lovers, partners, parents. And I really care deeply about relationship and how we can have really beautiful, thriving, expansive, conscious relationships. That doesn't mean it's like conflict becomes this beautiful space within them. And so I'm wondering, interpersonally, like, how do we support each other in this work?
You mean with someone else? Yeah.
Yes. Like, how can I show up in such a way that makes it easier for you to love you and therefore also love me?
Mm-hmm. It's about really loving yourself. Yes, loving yourself and showing the way, basically. If I'm, for example, for me, I have a huge amount of self-love now, but so I'm doing activities, that demonstrate that self-love, this time, like walking in nature on my own, or leaving my phone for like 24 hours. Sometimes people, like send me a message and for 48 hours, I don't even look at my phone, and, these type of little things. And that actually, because of who they see me as I am, like relaxed or grounded or not reactive, so they're inspired, and then they can ask. And that's basically how we can all do that, is that because my conception before was like, I need to change you in order to feel better. Oof. Yes, I think a lot of people are like this. Like, no, you shouldn't do this. No, you shouldn't do that. No, because it makes you feel more comfortable.
Totally.
That's why control is such a crazy thing that can drive us crazy, really. Because I need to control, but you can't really control anything, because this life is moving. It's everything is changing. So the only thing that you can control is yourself. So as soon as you start to pouring into you, you can help others, because you are coming from a place full of love. Imagine, like, it's like water, It's like I was saying, I can give you some love only if my inner bottle is full. And I think it's about inspiration. Be the change that you want to see in the world, basically. And the world will get inspiration. There is no one to control or nothing, really.
Yes, I still love the coins and the filling your cup. I love what you're sharing about, taking time to be with yourself, with the time away from your phone, nourishing yourself, spending time in nature. These things are so beautifully nourishing to the spirit. And then from that place, we can, love each other and show up for each other in beautiful ways. And control. Oh, yes, that is definitely such an important lesson that I'm more and more trying to release. It's something that's one of my soul's lessons in this life, is releasing control. I am Capricorn rising. Like, also, I'll just own it outside of that framing. Within myself, I'm like, everything needs to be the way I needed it to be. And with my with this voice healing journey, it has really been an invitation into surrender, not being able to control, and all the ways we try to exert control, we don't have it. So we say, so for example, I started to have these voice issues in February, and I would tell myself, oh no, it'll be better by March. Oh, it will be better by April. It will be better by May. And it was my way of trying to exert control on an uncontrollable reality. And so the surrender of, yes, life is dynamic, like you said, it's deeply uncomfortable, and it feels, and it goes so against how many of us have been conditioned and raised. And with this illusion of control and goals and, outcomes and all of this sort of toxic masculine Western energy of exerting control on reality, which is basically what colonialism and all of these different forms of power and control have tried to do. So the question that I want to ask you next, a lot of people feel that they know that they want to love themselves more, but they experience these gaps in their day-to-day experience where, let's say, they do something quote unquote wrong, and instead of the self-loving approach, they maybe are self-critical and shame themselves, or are shamed because of the shame that they've carried. So in that pattern interrupt, what is something that they can say, do, embody that can support them in those moments? I mean, they happen all the time. I think you've shared some, but I just want to make sure that we can support people in those moments.
So when the inner critic kicks in.
Yes.
I think once again, it's about being conscious that it's happening, because often it's unconscious. So it's like almost like having someone next to you. Imagine if I was next to you in your ear and telling you horrendous things.
Exactly.
You will not be happy to be next to me, right? It's the same that what we do in our mind. So it's about being conscious, and once again being like, okay, don't worry, let's do it. The link, it's okay. I got this, It's just like, it's always like, yeah, being conscious. That's the first thing, being aware. Okay, there is something happening. I'm not feeling so good right now. And I feel it's my fault and this and that. It's like, okay, yes, maybe it's my fault, but I'm a human being. I can make mistakes, and you can make mistakes. And next time you will do better. That's what you will do for a child. Imagine the child is like trying to start to walk on his 2 feet, and he's like, whoop, and he falls. Are you going to like insult the child? Telling him, you are so stupid, you are so bad. Look, you can't even like do two steps in front of one another. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to encourage that kid, that child. That's exactly what I want you to do with yourself. Because that little one inside of you, she needs encouragement, she needs love, not to have the repeat things that maybe once when she was little, she heard about, oh, you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. Because if at some point in your life, it has been painful as a kid to hear that you were not doing good enough, why are you perpetrating this today as an adult?
Yes. How can you become the healing you always sought, the parent you always sought, the elder you always sought, the person who was... And it's beautiful to witness that so many people are doing that work of becoming, more of what their inner child was seeking, which is really beautiful to witness. I think with access to all this beautiful information and healers and people who are studying all these different forms of what healing means, and also returning us to, we don't need to study it, it's also an embodied feeling, it's really beautiful and encouraging. Because I'm thinking that some people might think, some people would be mean to that child. We do have this mistreatment of children that then creates this.
Yeah, but I guess that we want different now.
Yes, exactly.
So
we have to be different.
Exactly. And it's about breaking the generational trauma.
And cycles.
And not repeating over and over the same.
Yes. And I also feel so passionately about also reintegrating generational gifts, like what you said about your grandmother, and how it's like, I think there is in the collective quite a focus, which I think everything happens in cycles. And I think that's our work now, is to focus on trauma and unconditioning and unlearning. And also there's so many gifts each of us carries from our lineage, or we wouldn't be here, first of all. But second of all, you may find you love singing, and your grandparent or someone in your life, there's just so much nourishment that we can also find in our lineages. And I think there is an it's very important. So I don't want to downplay, like the deep ancestral trauma of racism, sexism, like fleeing, abuse, trauma, a lot of just huge things. So I don't want to downplay that at all. And also, we all have such incredible gifts we've inherited, which is amazing. Amazing to also celebrate. Like, wow, we are a celebration of life. We're each walking embodiments of that, of like an orgasm. And I mean that in many different ways, of life coming together.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing.
Yes. We are a miracle.
We really are a miracle. How do we stay in touch with that? Where you started us off, the soul being that godly part of us all. What you've been sharing about this beautiful castle of the self, such wonderful imagery you're giving us. How do we stay in touch with the miracle of each of us and each other?
I would say that, it's about being in the present moment a lot, because our minds is not able to be in the present moment. That's the body. So when you are dissociate, you are often in your mind, and the mind brings you in the future or in the past. Future is anxiety, past is depression. but the body is in the present. So when the mind is here and the body is here, there is an anxiety, there is a gap because there is no alignment. Yeah. But you need to be in alignment to feel your soul, your body, your mind, your heart, alignment. Like you can imagine the chakras. You remember how they are, like the chakras, like the image. That's the same. It's like it has to be aligned. So in order to hear your soul, I would say it's actually quite easy. It's about quieting the mind, obviously, because the mind speaks a lot, future or the past. And when what's interesting is that you can hear the soul when you slow down and you are more in touch with your body and when it feels good. That's as simple as that. Your soul wants you to feel good all the time. So everything that feels good usually is driven by the soul. But if you, for example, I don't know, like eat a huge chocolate cake, the question always is, am I enjoying myself or am I trying, for example, to stuff myself to feel, to numb myself? So you see, and if there is, okay, I'm numbing myself, so behind again, underneath, there is something, an energy stuck. Yeah. I'm trying to avoid that pain. So I'm numbing. So that's why is that, am I enjoying myself? I'm having a piece of chocolate or am I doing something because I'm numbing myself? So it's always like being aware and understanding where you're coming from. You see? So, and how to do it to others is basically the same. Does it feel, it's like, for example, if someone drains you or gives you energy, if you have friends around you or colleagues or whatever, if that person is going to drain you or gives you energy. It says the same. Like, well, maybe your soul is telling you you don't especially need to spend time with someone that is going to drain your energy. It's like eating food that is not good for your body. Are you going to do that? Yeah, some people do. But is it good? Does it make you feel good about yourself with energy? Probably not. Sometimes maybe you're at work and you cannot run away from people that drains your energy, right? But so it's about, okay, I love myself enough to have boundaries and to be maybe assertive, to be like just 2 sentences and that's it. You know what I mean? Instead of some people are people pleaser and can like stay because they don't want unconsciously look bad of being rude and impolite if they walk away. Me, the self-love that I have now is that I'm polite, but I'm not going to have a long conversation if I can feel that there is no connection. Because I respect enough the other person in front of me to not waste their time and to not waste my time. And that is self-love and love for the other person too. That's respect. So yeah, sometimes people feel like, oh yeah, but am I being selfish? In this example, so no, you are being loving towards yourself, right? It's like, yeah, actually, it makes me better, makes me happy. Okay, so that's good. Are you still respecting the other person? Or are you being rude? No, you're not being rude. Okay, then amazing.
That meeting place that you've just described of, it's not, I love how you said it wouldn't be respectful to them and it wouldn't be respectful to me. That's so generative and beautiful. And also other people sort of deserve to be with people who want to be with them. So it's exactly. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to express it. And what you said about it feels good. Ooh, like something in my spirit slowed down as well and felt how good it feels to Yes, to do things that feel good and to really lean into that pleasure and that aliveness that I feel access, as you said, by slowing down, by dropping in. And we're not granted a lot of space and freedom. We have to grant that to ourselves. No one will tell us, oh, you should just go a little bit slower, like you share. So it is this juiciness, this like, this aliveness. And what you said about the past and the future and being in the present, that's also why I love creativity so much, because you can only create now. We cannot create, we're creating in this moment. And when we're dancing or singing or just in cooking, doing these nourishing things of turning the unseen and creating something seen from it. It's just such a magical and embodied experience if we allow it to be. So I just love this framing of that we find our soul, like the portal to the soul is presence. And that's how we find this alignment. And it's the body, the breath, like the vessel of.
The body will tell you.
Yes.
The body will tell you. That's why body is so alive. If you sit on the beach and you watch sunset, it makes you feel good. You don't know why. There is nothing tangible, right? But it's a feeling because your body is alive, Sometimes if you, the other day I was walking and it was super windy. And I could feel so much the wind on my skin. And I was like, wow, that feels so good. Because it felt like almost like, not a massage, but like something so soft. And I was like super grateful because I was like, wow, I'm really in the present moment because I could feel the wind. It was not a crazy wind, but like I could feel it so much. I was like, wow, I'm really in the present moment. And that is the essential part is like, for example, if you, for the men, like play football or for the girl, like painting or why? It's because your body is bringing you into the present moment. When you walk in nature, you feel like, because you are here and now. That's the power of nature. What she brings you here and now with her.
Oh, I'm loving this image of the wind caressing you. Like we live in a very erotic experience, if we choose to see it this way, very alive. Erotic by that, I just mean alive, full of possibility, full of touch, literally. Like we're always in some way being invited into something that sometimes we are not conscious enough to really tap into, like, wow, this sip of tea, instead of rushing it, can I really be present to it? And I think that energy it's a very feminine energy. And as we've spoken about so often, we're so conditioned out of resting in that energy. I know that's something you deeply care about. Can you tell us more about, for anyone listening of all genders, like the importance of connecting with our feminine energy? And I just want to be clear that we're talking about an energy spectrum like yin and yang, that we all have access to both, and that is out of balance collectively.
Not the gender.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, the feminine energy is extremely important. We yin and yang, we all have, as men or women, we have masculine and feminine energy within us. And the masculine is more action-based, obviously. And outer us, I don't know if you say that, but outside of us. And the feminine is slower, is represented by the color black. So, the earth, the soil, and it's represented by the moon, and is the feminine energy, nurturing energy, loving energy. The action, the masculine is more represented by the sun, the action, yeah. So it's super important because we have for years and years and years and years been in the mind. We need to create, we need to do. But hello, we are human being, not human doing. And that's why we forgot. So we forgot that part of us that needs to be also in order to do. Yeah, you cannot, create a wall without your hands. Yes, you need to be in a line with your body in order to do something. And so we have forgotten that. And that's why there is so many depression or burnout, you know, because at some point the spectrum or the space of inside of you, imagine you have all the space that is white, like action, and there is nothing for the feminine, which is self-love, nurturing, nutrition, and slowing down, etc., etc. There is no space for that. Of course, at some point, it's gonna like the machine is gonna burn. No, like we smoke. Like I'm done. I'm gonna be going a bit further. Is that I believe that if it's so challenging to be in touch with how feminine energy is often because subconsciously the feminine energy has been associated with the relation that we had with a feminine figure in her life, which is often the mother. So if we had, I don't want to say traumatic, but like a challenging relation, depending on if you're a woman with the mother, it can often happen. Loving relationship, but it's like mother-daughters. It can be like some tension growing up or whatever. So basically, and I've seen that in so many of the people and I've worked with and myself too, is that if this part of you has been kind of, oh, I don't want to be like this, subconsciously, once again, I don't really want to be like my mother, for example, then you repress that feminine part. If the mother has been super feminine, obviously. And then you are maybe even more in your masculine. But at some point, because a woman, it's biologically, we're not supposed to be in the masculine all the time. We are not. We're not built like this. If we go back in history, the men were going to hunt, right? So they were like in the doing, in the action to nourish the family. And the women, we were like picking the berries and the berries, and we were nourishing, cooking, and I'm talking, you know. And that was the role of the feminine, nurturing the kids, etc. So, you know, after the evolution in our society, we have like, okay, women, we need to go, independence and this and that, which is beautiful. But we almost have suppressed so much that feminine part of us that is needed also in order to fuel the outside. Yeah. Like creation, for example, which is around the belly button, the chakra, inside. It's orange, the orange color. It's a feminine energy, and you cannot create something outside of you if you don't nourish first that energy within you. And how you nourish that is by sitting with it, by nourishing it, by listening to it, by understanding it, by being patient with it. Feminine. And it's the same for men. It's exactly the same, because a lot of men, and I had as clients, they behind closed doors, they are exhausted too. They are. They have to produce for the family, and there's so many responsibilities, you know, because they need that too.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like this, at a cultural level, the feminine is repressed from men, from women, from non-binary people, from everyone, because it's of capitalism and supremacy and all of these different systems that need us to not be slowing down and not be resting and not be nurturing, because it's a system rooted in the myth of scarcity and competition and productivity culture and all of these, associating your worth with what you produce, but not the love you produce, not the nurturing energy you produce, or the care, or the softness, but
just that's not what brings money. Exactly. And so I feel there's just in the whole world this need to be in deeper touch with that energy, but also to create a world system that nourishes the feminine in each person, and views it as sacred and views it as deeply generative, as like the womb, you know, the
the space, the darkness, the soil where life can only pass through that. It cannot skip over this need for, you can't have a baby come out in 1 month. There's like a natural rhythm to life that we've been made to live out of with the way that of like industrialization, capitalism, and all these things, and then colonialism, and these things that we're all carrying in our bodies also that have affected us, and how we've tried to then survive in these systems. And so it's a lot of work. And I think that for those of us who can create space to be in touch with that energy and trust it, because sometimes we don't trust the feminine energy in us. There's a part of us that's like, why don't you, this happens to me with working out sometimes. I'm like, why don't you not go to work out today? Why don't you just rest? But I'm like, no. But the health, like I need to, I'm like, and then when I listen, something fascinating, beautiful, magical will happen in that feminine energy of slowing down, not needing to prove anything, not having to do anything, being with myself, nourishing myself. It's a beautiful space. And you have to feel worthy of it though, to receive it. And so many of us don't and haven't seen role models who got the privilege of being in that energy, because it is
exactly.
Yeah, we don't have many people, many women in our lives who we've seen rest in the healthy expression of that, because both the feminine and masculine obviously have their unhealthy expressions. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And also I don't want to diminish the fact that, for example, some women, they have like 3 kids and they will tell me, Virginie, I cannot slow down.
Totally.
Which obviously I completely understand. But every time then I had a mother coming to me telling me this, what I will do is to force them to slow down.
What is forcing them?
Yes. And that's when life change. Because when you believe and your mind is telling you, you cannot slow down, you continue. But imagine like you will, your car, you will go to the station, you will put some gas at some point in order to continue the road, right? It's the same. You cannot like continue being a human being, do your thing. Imagine you need to sleep, you need to eat. These things are feminine, but we just don't look at it like it's important. It's like due, And one thing that is interesting also that you mentioned, you said about going to the gym to work out. You say, my mind is telling me you need to go. So that is an indication. When you say need, I need, that's your mind. I need. That's your inner critic pushing you to do something. I invite you to reframe that by saying, I want. And that's a different type of energy. I want to work out today, but maybe I want to rest more, So that is self-love.
That's beautiful.
Not but the way that you say the things, because I need is like almost like you have the pressure.
Totally.
Do you want to release the pressure? Or do you want to put the pressure? And why you put pressure? Because often we were doing things under pressure. So it feels familiar. So I might do it more if I'm putting pressure on myself. The self-love journey is about how can I carry on doing my life without putting pressure. But because it's not familiar, it feels weird. But that's exactly what I want, actually. You see? So I'm not waiting for you, for my boyfriend, for my mother, for X or Y to tell me how beautiful I am, or I should do this, or I should do that. No, it's better to tell yourself first. And the other people around you or things, situations is bonus. Just extra. It's beautiful. Okay, cool. Because you know already. You can validate yourself. You can see what you need. What you need.
I love it. I love the reframe of there is the part of you that does want to work out. It's such a beautiful invitation to reframe, because the desire, I love desire. Like desire as a concept, as a feeling of really leaning into that feeling of like longing and craving and yearning and wanting. It's just so alive to me. I love that energy. And when we can locate that energy within ourselves of like, oh yes, I want to, part of me does want to go to this workout. I know how I'll feel afterwards. I know how I'll feel during, not the whole time, but there are these moments where it will feel so juicy and strong and beautiful as well. And then part of me just wants to sit here. And that's, they both can, it comes back to what we said about harmonizing. What do you need? What do you need? And I think sometimes within me, with the feminine and masculine conversation, it's like parents or a couple where it's like, okay, I know you want us to do this, like for my inner masculine, like it's like my inner feminine will be like, I know you want us to spend the Saturday morning working because that's what you think, we need to do to get where we're going. But we've listened to you quite a bit this week. Like, why don't you let me, I love you. I cherish you. You're trying to build the palace that I'm going to rest within. Because that's how I see the conversation within myself. It's like there's a part of me that wants to build something, and there's a part of me that wants to receive something having been built. And we are not used, like the conversation that happens within of that, of like, there's a part of me that wants to just receive. And then there's a part of me that does want to give to myself, also to the world, and also to myself, like to have said, wow, we like created that, like we did it. But then it's like, neither is right or wrong. There is a partnership happening. And many of us are not used to sort of animating that conversation of like, what is my inner masculine? I ask myself, like, what does my inner masculine want? What does my inner feminine want? What does my inner masculine believe? She believes she has to work really hard in order to get to somewhere. And then the feminine is like, oh, you're always worthy of rest. You don't need to do anything. You need to, like, you want to read this book, or you want to do something that may not make sense, but watch it make sense. Just let me take the wheel, watch it make sense. So it can be such a delicious conversation. We just aren't really invited into it very often. How do you, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say just that, earlier you said, the trust, having faith can be difficult to let go of control. That's what you said. And because that's feminine also, having faith, trusting. Surrendering. Because it's everything that is kind of abstract and that you can't see, that's feminine. And because we want to control so much, which is the mind, the masculine, it can be difficult to leave the space for the feminine because you have to trust. And that is detachment and surrounding, letting go.
Letting go.
A lot of people want to, but don't know how to.
Wow. There is a song by Beautiful Chorus called Trust in the Process of Life. And I listened to it on repeat to try and, it's so beautiful. I'll send it to you and I really recommend it. I'll put it in the show note links. I listened to it on the way here. Whenever I'm using that 5% of my mind to say, this should be this way, or I'm not in trust, it really helps me. So I love that so much. I'm so curious with you tapping into this feminine energy with your clients, with yourself. How do you hold that conversation within you between these different energies and parts of yourself? And how has that changed with time?
At the beginning, you mean?
Well, like your relationship with your feminine and masculine energy, how that's evolved over time and how you now hold that within you.
I think for the longest time, it was an happy couple inside of me. It was one fighting the other one. Always
unhappy couple.
Unhappy, yes. One that wanted to be right over the other one, depending on what day. So, and I didn't understand that I needed to find harmony. So I guess that is, once again, is like experiencing so many crazy stuff, crazy lives, challenges, that at some point I was like, okay, what I'm doing right, it's like, it was an adjustment. Like what I'm doing right now is not working, obviously. So, okay, let's try to do this, or let's try to do that, etc., etc. So, yeah. And, all the meditation and all the modalities that I tried, it took time. It did take time. But I think that for me is the having such big awareness of me that I have the awareness and I can be present for others, and I often say that to my clients also, because they are nervous the first time, and it's like you are opening yourself up to someone that you don't know. Is that for me? I think it's the way that you have to see how to work with someone. Is that if you go to a mountain, if I take you to a mountain and I'm a guide, I'm not going to tell you, you have to go all the way up and, you turn right and don't try to not kill yourself, on the way, but you will arrive to the top. That's not the type of guide I want. I want someone who's going to walk with me and say, hey, careful here or be careful there, and we're going to go to the top together. And that's the type of person that I am. And I work with the people, the people that work with me, because I have done the inner work, the discovery, the inner discovery. So I'm mirroring that to my clients, and I show them how they can do that for themselves too. The difference is that I implement a lot of self-love on the way, because releasing painful stuff, it's important to replace it with something that brings you love. Nature doesn't like emptiness, so nature will replace with something else. So it's better to choose.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. That's so powerful. It relates to beliefs. Like, instead of how can I unbelieve this, just creating what could be a more expansive, nourishing belief that I could maintain. And that has really helped me so much. And so what you're sharing about how you walk them through this mountain and side by side as their guide, allowing them to have their own journey, but them knowing and trusting that you're there. It's so powerful. It's so precious. And it's that work just ripples across, the relationships people have, how they parent, how they auntie, how they do all the things. And so it excites me that more and more people are, accessing this work. And I hope that just continues to grow and blossom.
I'm going to give you a quick example also that comes to me right now. I was thinking about the mothers that are maybe looking, watching your podcast and say, but I would love to slow down, but I cannot, or I don't have the capacity. I remember years ago, I was working with a little boy, and often the kids that comes is because there is something with the parents. That's why they act the way that they act. Often, I'm not saying all the time, but often. And I remember saying to him, what do you need? What do you want? Something like this. And he said to me, I want mommy to be happy.
Oh.
And basically, why was he fighting at school? Why was he was having such a bad behavior? Because he didn't know how to deal with his emotions. And so as soon as I worked with the mother also, things just unfold. So what I want to say is that because it's important, that's why it's so important to allow yourself to have those little moments of rest, of nourishment, of feminine energy, in order to be able to do again outside of you and to be there for others. But because you will have been there for you first. And often the mothers, they feel like, I come after my kids. But the kids feel it. They are sponges. So it's important for anyone around us really to feel that we are coming from a good place. That's how it has a ripple effect on others. To come back to one of your first questions. So it's not being selfish. It's about being generous, really, depending on how far you want to give yourself self-love. It's also respect of others. If you're not respecting anyone and it's just me, of course, that's maybe there is too much there when we're talking about when it's too much. It's not good. You remove the too much. So yes.
Wow. Oh my word. That is so precious. I'm thinking of this little boy who just wanted his mom to be happy, and her narrative that if she slowed down to be happy, the child wouldn't be okay. And actually it's the opposite. It's so counterintuitive, and I have so much compassion for parents and especially without support systems and the way that all these lack of childcare, all the systems we were talking about, like contribute to the story of overwhelm that parents are carrying. But I think that's such a beautiful example of the power of giving to yourself. And something that just came through as you were speaking was sometimes, I love what you said, that it's not selfish, it's generous. And I believe we each came here to be generous in specific ways. You know, you could be generous with your singing voice, with your energy, with your healing. And the problem is when you're over giving or giving from people pleasing, the reason why part of that is selfish is now you're not embodying the actual generosity you came here. You didn't come here to deplete yourself. You came here to give in a way that actually allows you to feel like you're also receiving. Exactly. And so when we're in this people pleasing and being for everyone but ourselves, sometimes we think, oh, but I'm giving and giving, but it's like you're not doing your divine giving. And that's also going to feel like you're receiving. And it's going to feel, there's going to be like a conversation that feels cosmic. And as long as you keep giving energy to this, which again, sometimes it's not possible to avoid. But when there are boundaries, we can set, it's like, it is generous, because if I'm in my energy and alignment, like you beautifully said, then I can really give that like deathbed kind of giving where I'm going to look back and say, I did it, like we did it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why it's so important. And if there is anyone guilt-tripping you for being generous with yourself, well, it will depend on the context. But to be a bit straight to the point, I would say that's their problem, not yours. You know, depending on who. If it's your kid or your partner, of course, you can have a whole conversation about it, saying that's what you need in order to be present for them, you know, to give a bit of yourself. And I think everyone can understand that. So it's an act of generosity to put boundaries. There is no self-love without boundaries. It's like you telling me you have a beautiful house with all the furniture, but you don't have walls. Do you think that nobody is going to come and take all your furniture?
Exactly.
I mean, yes, boundaries are walls. And someone is ringing the bell and you open the door and maybe you want them to come in or maybe not. That's what you do with your house. Why would you not do that with your energy? It's exactly the same. That's what boundaries are. And it's you will not let anyone come into your house. Why will you let anyone coming into your field?
Yes. Wow. You've given us such a gem there. And this image of the I love images and metaphors and analogies. It just makes it so alive. And what came through as you were saying that beautiful idea of the walls and the furniture is some people's work is also believing they have something worth protecting. And when we haven't been taught to value our energy, like we don't think this is a gift, this is sacred, this is like precious, this deserves to be protected. It's just like with a child, you would do everything you can to protect the child, give them, support, boundaries, all of the things. And so with our energy, for example, with people who are really good listeners, but then you just give that energy to everyone. And then you're like, well, no one listens to me, which I totally hold space for and understand. But it's like, if you start to view that gift of listening as deeply precious, then you can start having boundaries of, I only listen when I feel heard. Like I set beautiful, polite boundaries, like you mentioned, or loving boundaries when I feel like my boundaries for being heard are not being met. And I think it's such a beautiful image. I'm really obsessed with this walls and this idea of, furniture.
Like I'm sure a lot of people will relate to that. But sometimes you have people asking you how you are and not really listening. Active listening is such a gift. It's like, it's rare because people love to talk about themselves. That's how we are. But, for example, I have this friend, she asks me all the time how I am. And the second that I'm starting to talk, she takes her phone. And for me, before I was okay. Now that I have boundaries, I just stop. I don't continue to answer. I start, and as soon as I see that, I stop.
So
of course, she feels uncomfortable because there is blank. But that's my boundaries. It's like, if you don't pay attention to me, why am I going to use my energy, my breath to tell you something that is like, no. It's like, no. So I'm just, okay, that's cool. You do you, I do me. And then, she adjusts her behavior and I adjust mine. But that's how you work that game. You have to understand that it's not being impolite or being rude, but it's like, oh, this is not within is after my boundaries. It's just like, for me, it's a no. If you talking to me and I'm talking to you while you are on your phone, it means that you have something else to do somewhere else. So I'm going to wait until that you're here present with me.
I feel so excited by you saying that because I have that boundary as well. And it is so magical and rare. I've never heard someone express that exactly. Like, how am I love what you're saying. I love that you have that boundary. It's a beautiful example of boundaries being about what we are willing to do and not do. And when you didn't say you tell her to stop, you say, you set the boundary of, I speak to people who are present, who are attending to me. I value what I'm saying. So I'm not going to, it's like throwing what I'm saying into the bin. And I'm not going to do that because I value my words.
Exactly.
And I love that so much. I have the exact same boundary. If someone takes out their phone and mid-sentence, I'll just stop and wait. Because it's a self-worth thing as well, because you have to feel worthy of someone's full presence. And we are worthy of that.
Exactly. And often the people that feel unworthy are the ones that are super present for others because they would like others to do the same for them. That's why the roles has to be reversed. It's like, okay, how can I be present for myself?
So true.
So if this person is not present for me, it's okay because I'm here for myself. And if the person is present for me, bonus, amazing. Yes. You see, and that's an act of self-love.
Yeah.
It's not being selfish. You see, that's what I mean by that.
Totally.
It's tricky. Relationships and understanding oneself it's a long life journey. I believe that until I'm 90, if I live there and to this point, that you always learn something about you, about your mind, your body, your soul, and especially because we change as the body change, the emotions have the tendency to change with the people that are around us or our environment. And it's always discovering yourself over and over again because there is always a different situation. So if you want someone to love you, for the one that are looking for a relationship, it's important that you love yourself so you will understand how much you want the other person to love you and how. Not how much, but like how, to what extent, Can
you say more about that?
Yeah, because you will feel, as soon as you feel what you want, like the love, you feel the love, you will know, okay, the love that person is giving me is the one that I'm looking for, or is not, And that's how, for example, if you were attracted before by narcissists, let's say, and then until that you sit with yourself and you look at it and you're like, okay, what is this part of me that is attracting to this person that is narcissist, that doesn't pay attention to me? Okay, because I can feel that it comes back from my childhood when my brother was playing with all his friends and he didn't want me to play with him and I felt abandoned and this and that, And then until that you are, okay, you shift that and you reframe that, then you can start to love yourself. And that's the process. You love yourself, okay, I'm feeling better, I'm healing, and I'm seeing that part of me, I'm loving myself a bit more. And then you will have someone that will reflect that love that you have for yourself to you. As I was saying, we attract the same frequency. So if you didn't look at that, you will attract another narcissist in a different form, different body.
Totally.
But because it will be the same frequency, the same energy, if you didn't release that memory. So, yeah, it's about really learning to love yourself, to discover yourself, to understand what makes you happy, what doesn't. If it doesn't, how can you transcend that so you follow your path? Is like having a purpose, doing things that please you, but not just to have an outcome, money or do, and put pressure on yourself, but also because it brings you energy, brings you happiness, it brings you maybe connection or whatever. And then from that place, you can pour into the world. Yes.
How expansive. I am obsessed. I think that idea of the frequency and what we then are able to call in, it's so beautiful and so important. And something that came through with what you were saying about like self-love being the essence of then how we love others. Grace is such an important way of loving. And if you have no grace for yourself, you will never show up with grace for someone else.
Absolutely.
And so often what has helped me so much is when I feel someone is being cruel or like, why you could have done that in such a kinder way, or I know that's just how they treat themselves. And that's that I'm just seeing a mirror of how they treat the part of themselves who makes mistakes or who doesn't, show up in the way that they wish they would have. And so I feel as I've come into more love and understanding with myself, it's allowed me to be so much more gracious with people. And you're someone who shows up with a lot of grace, a lot of spaciousness. And so has that been part of, your work in self-love, that it's mirrored back or it's reflected back to you in how you show up for others?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the same with a parent. If they feel good, they will parent the kids with so much love. If they feel exhausted, they will take much more energy to try to be there for the kids.
Yes.
Maybe they will give a tablet and try to, because they need to recharge or, so it's the same. It's like really, you can only give what you have. So at some point you have to give to yourself in order to be able to give to others. Really, that's the whole point. But to be also strong enough to be able to say no when you mean no.
Yes.
And not saying yes. That's also a very big part, because self-love, it doesn't mean sacrifice also, and especially women, we have this tendency to sacrifice, for family or whatever. After we can feel depleted and resentful after, if we're not able to look at ourselves and be like, okay, right now I need a minute. Because if we don't have enough awareness, we can blame the person in front of us, the situation, or persons or people, or to make us feel a certain way. When actually nobody makes you feel whatever way. It's you that you always have the control. And I know it can trigger a lot of people to hear that. But we do have the control to make a difference. The question is, are all the parts within me aligned with that? Or are they some parts being like, no, you have to be polite. No, you have to say yes to helping your friend to move the furniture at 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't know, this type of thing. So it's important to be like, to learn how to say no with love.
Saying no with love, saying yes with love. Yes.
Yes. And I will finish on that. I will say, to come back to the respectful things to do to others. For me, I 100% want the people that know me authentically to be surrounding me in a sense of, I don't like hypocrisy, or I don't like fakeness. I prefer to talk real. Okay, this I didn't like, this I like, so we can readjust, And the more authentic you are, which takes a lot of courage, it's not easy, and I know that. But I believe it's the only way to be in a healthy whatever situation at work, and being honest with yourself about what you need, what you want, how you feel, so you can adjust in the most, in a homeostatic way, Yeah.
Yeah. And loving, like that, holding that loving conflict, like, as you said, doing it with respect and honesty. I think that is honestly the root of so much of what the world, the crises that the world is in. It's like that 2 people can't sit down or 5 people can't sit down and have that type of conversation of transparency, honesty. We're honoring each other's dignity, but we're being truthful about how this made me feel, or what this activated within me, because I'm also trying to unlearn this idea of making you feel. But I think that is so important. And also, I feel each time I have a difficult conversation with a friend, the friendship like grows 1 year.
Oof.
So it's like I feel extremely close to my best friend because we just have so many conversations where if something gets triggered, or we just go there and we do it in a way that's so loving and it's so beautiful, and we are never condemning or putting each other down. We're always seeing each other's sacredness, but then now we're learning about each other's childhoods and, wounds and all of these things, because we're having these conversations that are that just something got triggered. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then if on the flip side, if you avoid that conversation, going back to our earlier, discussion, like where we just avoid the discomfort, you're also avoiding the growth, like you said, that we grow through pain, we heal through pain. And I've noticed just such a huge shift in the way that I'm relating to people, because we're willing to go there. And it's uncomfortable, but wow, where you get to on the other side, it's so robust.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like you release the energy. It's behind you.
Exactly.
So on to the next lesson.
Exactly. Wow, Virginie, it's just been so beautiful to chat to you. And I'm wondering if anything is feeling like unheard. It's so funny. When I watch podcast hosts, I'd always be so conscious of what they didn't respond to. And it was my own, again, it was how I treat myself when I'm imperfect, projected onto them. And now I'm growing my compassion for how complex it is to truly, when someone's giving you so much magic, to try and really be present to all of it. So something that I deeply care about is that a person feels heard. And so are there any things you shared that you feel like, oh, I actually really wanted you to ask me this, or I wanted to go deeper into that, or, I respect your sovereignty that you would have maybe just said it, but also anything feeling unheard?
So no, I want to say you're doing an amazing job for, guiding, and I think you're very present, and that's a gift, like I was saying. But no, what I will say, and what came, nonviolent communication. That's what came to me when you were talking, and I'm just gonna give one tip to the people that will listen this podcast, is that when you want to communicate in a way that you don't know how to not be aggressive, how you communicate not violently, you first. It's called desk. Yes, DESC, desk. So D stands for description. So you describe the problem. Like, you invited me here, and you want me to put the garbage outside. Description. E is for emotion. So you start with I, your emotion. I feel that it's not really me that should put the garbage. I feel a bit used. I feel, not you did, because that's an accusation, and that's where people react. You say, I feel. Your feelings are always valid. So after is S for solution. So what do you think if we do one day I put the garbage outside and the other day, how does it sound to you? So that is, we find the solution. Yeah. So like a contract. And once we find the solution, the compromise is S for solution. Yeah. It's like we shake hands and like, okay, let's do this. So both parties are heard and the tension is released. Yes. So that is, that's what came. I hope that it will help some people to, to feel like, okay, I can express what I need in a way that the other person will not feel attacked. if the person still feel attacked, is also maybe because she has triggers and has some work to do. Obviously, we all have, but you know that you will have done it in a soft way. At the same time, you will have expressed what was inside your heart, and that's very important. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Nonviolent communication, what the world needs. I love the way that I didn't know the acronym. I've heard of nonviolent communication, but it's lovely to hear the description, emotion, solution, conclusion. Okay. Ooh, that little
Shake
rhyme
hands.
at the end.
Yes.
Lovely. I love that so much. And it's so beautiful because what it offers us is also this, no one is right or wrong. And I think that's the most challenging thing to embody in a conflict. It's not you have the truth and I don't, or I have the truth and you don't. Like, we are two people with two childhoods and traumas and understandings and cultures. And we just like you're seeing red, I'm seeing blue, and we're both right. And what is it like to see blue? What is it like to see red? And so what you're giving us of like, I feel, it just is like, oh, I'm so curious then to learn more about your feelings and not make them wrong or right. They're just their feelings, like that's a desk and that's a cup. They're there and they deserve to be witnessed. So I love that. I'm so grateful. And I think that's going to offer people so much. And where can people find you and work with you and experience your magic?
So they can find me on my website,
Perfect.
which is Virginie Audrey, and on Instagram, but I haven't posted for a long time. But you can still message.
Energy.
Yes, that's my self-love. It's like detox. I detox a lot for my phone, and it makes me. I haven't been as happy as happy since I have decided to do this dopamine detox once in a while. Yes,
it's so powerful. I love that. I think that's so much of our spiritual connection is also being robbed from us by these devices.
Oof.
Our connection to peace, our connection to boredom, which is also very generative, our connection to life as it is. Like
Absolutely.
We're always exerting control on reality through our phones. I do it as well. I have a lot of boundaries with my phone, so I'm proud of, I feel like we have a lot of similar phone boundaries, phone values, but I'm just so grateful. This was so lovely. I'm so grateful we got to do this. And I hope that we get to co-create something else in the universe.
Absolutely.
I trust that it's all unfolding, and I'm wishing you the most beautiful and magical unfolding. And we all thank you for your wisdom today.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being with us on this journey. It's been such a gift to travel with you, to unfold in this conversation. May we all have grace towards the part of ourselves that don't feel like they're enough. May we sit with our inner child, our inner 8-year-old, and be present with what does he need? What does she need? What do they need? And we just learned so many beautiful gems from this conversation. And something else that's coming through for me is so often with wisdom and with consciousness, we can have this ego of like, oh, I've already heard that. But the invitation, I think, from this whole conversation has been to drop into like the body's knowing. And there's so much that we can say we intellectually know, but we're not embodying. So the next time you feel triggered or you feel there's an emotion, like Virginie said, there's an energy there, our invitation is that you embody this wisdom. You don't tell yourself, oh, I know there's something there. You say, okay, let me go tap into one of Virginie's meditations, or let me journal, let me have this conversation and allow ourselves to like step into the message and step into the magic that we've just experienced from Virginie, rather than any sort of the mind's
telling stories.
And I always say I wouldn't
stories.
be hearing it if I didn't in some way need to more fully embody and integrate it. So we've gotten such beautiful gems from you, and I hope that everyone takes the time to like receive them in their being. Thank you everyone for watching or listening. This is the Soul Salon podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also follow me at ayandastood, and that's also where you can sign up for my newsletter, where I have a free ebook on visibility and the fears we hold around being seen and witnessed, especially when we have been conditioned to believe we're not good enough. So if you would like to receive that beautiful ebook, it is at ayandastood.com. We will link to all Virginie's websites below, or her website. All the show notes will include information to the Soul Salon. keep tapping into the frequency. I hope that it continues to serve and support you. And I'm wishing you a beautiful rest of your day and experience. Thank you. I love you. Bye.
My darling, my love, my soul sibling, thank you for stepping into the Soul Salon. If you are still hearing or watching this, we are soul siblings. We are resonating on the same frequency. And so something you may struggle with, that I struggle with, is the fear of being seen. You know that visibility is involved in you living your creative purpose and being in your power, serving the collective through your gifts, through your magic, through your medicine. In order to do that, you know you need to be more seen than you are allowing yourself to be right now. I have a gift just for you, heart-made for us on this frequency, and it is a free ebook called The Soulful Visibility Guide. That is soulful visibility. Like, we don't just want to be seen, we want to be felt, we want to be heard, we want to move and be moved. So I do have a free gift for you, and all you need to do is go to my website, ayandastood.com, and there you will be able to input your email address and receive this directly to your inbox. This is such a juicy and delicious guide, and I change the free offering every few months, so get it while you can. All the links are in the show notes. So thank you so much. I love you, and I will see you on the next soul session. Okay, I love you. Bye.